Thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start this discussion on State of the Nation, where we talk about matters, politics, and everything in between. Kindly let us know what your thoughts are on every single subject that we'll touch on. At Trevor Mbiji at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's start off with the front page of the Daily Nation, or the Standard actually. Yeah, Uhuru's toughest 180 days. From efforts to manage succession, cement his legacy, run affairs with a shrunk cabinet, and implement final projects, President is juggling so many balls in the air in his last 6 months in office. Let's talk about them one by one. On the president's agenda, appointments, let's start from there. Smooth running of government by filling posts left vacant by exiting officials. And Governor Mutu, I'll start with you on this one. What options does the president have? Because you two are facing the same thing. There's quite a number of people who left your cabinet.
It's the same thing. You know, when you're a leader, and especially on your second term, and people leave office, you only have 6 months. And the whole thing is that you have 6 months to cement your legacy. And even before I say that, I want to say first, salamu nyingi sana na heri ya mwaka mpya to all our viewers from here and all over the world. Say I'm glad to be back here. I was traveling quite a bit. Missed a few sessions because I was away, but we are back here talking about what is important. And we thank God because Mungu ndio ametuweka hapa. That way we can even be able to talk about these important things. Yeah. Now, you know, when you run a government and you've got 6 months left, I have 6 months left, Uhuru Kenyatta has 6 months left, we're running a government. We've got projects that we really need to complete. We've got systems that we need to put into place. So when people get out of office, it can also be, it's mostly a blessing in disguise because it allows you to rejig your government. It allows you to reorganize how things are done to ensure that the work that you need to be done gets done. So I bet that's where Uhuru is at this time. I've been receiving many phone calls. You should have seen my messages. Everybody thinks they can be appointed. Everybody thinks they are qualified to be appointed. People are looking for work even for 6 months. Nieke nikue, you know, minister, nikue permanent secretary, nikue hii. So I bet Uhuru is facing the same challenge where everybody is calling him saying, nieke nikue CAS for these few months. People are looking at ways they think that when you get into government, you can make money. Others are thinking, tengeneze pesa hii maana mwisho, siasa. So it's juggling. But it also gives him an opportunity because in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, there's been a division. There are those who've been aligned to his deputy governor, who they have not been seeing eye to eye, who have been in his government, and others but his deputy governor is not, his deputy president, sorry, is not an appointing authority. So this is a good opportunity for Uhuru Kenyatta to clean house. How ameenda. So there's no issue of umetoa mtu wetu, how ameenda. So he can appoint his loyalists who will actually get his agenda done. Okay.
Gerard, we've seen a lot of movement here in terms of the CSs moving, and admittedly most of them moved to UDA. Is that an indication that from the onset government was running in parallel directions?
Good morning, viewers, and thank you to be always here on Thursdays. One is that it is good we are appointed rightly that most of the government officials resigning are moving to UDA, which is the future government. You know, they can tell. Number two is that I don't think the government has been running parallel because the appointing authority and all these CSS, CAS, PSS have been reporting directly to the president. So I don't think there's been a cross or parallel government within because all the implementation issues that have been raised, but it is very unfortunate that since handshake happened, the usual Thursday cabinet meetings have been rarely happening. So it looks like the President Uhuru's cabinet has been dysfunctional after 2018. It is not fair to tell Kenyans that it has been dysfunctional now. It has been dysfunctional like 4 or 5 years ago. And therefore, that it shows that many of the promises that Jubilee did promise in 2018 or 2018, the second term 2017 are yet to be fulfilled. So from where Trevor I sit is that there are many promises. Being a former member of Jubilee, is there are many promises that Jubilee gave out in 2017 that they will implement: the issue of electricity, the issue of infrastructure, the issue of job opportunities, the issue of dams across the country. But unfortunately, Jubilee degenerated into what we call self-inflicting wounds. You remember, they now turn against some of us, de-whipping members, destroying himself, what we call self-degenerating disease. They now become weaponizing the fight against other crimes like corruption to fight their own. So I think from where I sit, this appointment will not make any change. I have had my brother, Governor Mutua, and it's good to see him back. And he will tell the nation whether he's still running for president or not. Is that he's saying that these 6 months can make a change. I don't think it can make so much change, because now we are dealing with supplementary budget. So even if you are appointed to the office and already the agenda has been set, I highly doubt that, Trevor, that there will be much to be done. But finally, I would wish the President Uhuru Kenyatta would now concentrate on reappointing. I know it will be a bit tall order to make new appointments because the vetting process within Parliament, I saw Parliament wanted to reduce procedural motion of limitation of such issues, but the President should now concentrate on finalizing on this legacy. Okay. But it seems that the President has a lot on his agenda. Rather than campaigning for other presidential candidates, he would concentrate just on what is remaining for the next 180 days. Okay.
Prof, what options does the president have? Should he just operate with a limping cabinet now to the end?
Thank you, Trevor. I think that given the limited days, you have 6 months to go, you have ministers who have stepped out, and let me just correct Cherargei. I think Azimio has 3 ministers. UD has 1 minister, so I think the strength is there. The CS, I think there's equality. I think that shows you where government is going, unlike what Leonard Friend here is saying. But the difficulty in vetting, because the vetting process for public officers, you cannot be appointed to these positions unless you're vetted. And I think that process, with the politicization, the high molten politics that we're witnessing now, will be a difficult process. I have no doubt about that, because I think that if you can imagine all these positions, you are talking about almost 10 CSS and 4 cabinet secretaries being vetted. I think the best option would be to appoint ministers to act or to oversight other ministries. It's cheaper to pay allowances than go through the entire process of appointment. But also, most ministries are also related. Some even share buildings. And remember, there are some permanent secretaries who are principal officers, principal secretaries who have not opted to go into politics, so they're in office. So a lot of the government affairs will run as long as you have the accounting officers in place. Okay. These will continue to run. So I don't think there's a big difficulty. Yeah. And I have, maybe also in terms of the portfolios, Cecily Karaoke's water. I think water can be run by environment. Adan Mohammed is EAC. EAC, in my view, is largely insignificant. Regional integration can easily be run by foreign affairs, a bit of foreign affairs there. Petroleum is energy, so you don't need to appoint anyone to run the petroleum portfolio. Yeah. You simply get the energy minister or some other minister in that run the portfolio. So I don't see a difficulty that President will have in all this. CSS, as you know, the office of CS is a contentious office. It has previously been ruled to be unconstitutional. You know that. Yeah. And I don't think that, I think that the exit is probably just correcting a few things. It's not a bad thing. Okay. And I don't think that CSS as administrative heads will leave a gap. Yeah, correct. Because administration, in my view, is undertaken by other functionaries within the ministries.
Okay. So the CSS, how are you going to handle it from your side?
Well, you have several options. One is you can appoint new people to fill in some positions. Yeah. Then there's the vetting process that good professor is talking about. Or you get people to act in those positions. What is important is that it gives you an opportunity not only to make changes at the top, but to also reorganize the entire government. You may need to shift people. You may need to look at loyalists and everything. And I don't agree with my good Senator Cherargei that you cannot do much in 6 months. Let me tell you, as head of a government, Every month you can do a lot. Especially, it's not about budgets. It's about getting the work done. You know what the Americans would call, boots on the ground. It's getting somebody who is loyal and focused, who is going to get that project complete. Not somebody who's got split loyalties. So munasema hii ifanywe, unajua mtu atalala hapo 24/7, itafanywa. You cement your legacy. Yeah. But also another thing that Uhuru Kenyatta is doing, what we're doing is that you also want to leave your people behind. You want, whichever government comes, that the public service has loyalists, has people who have, understand your mentality, your ideology, who can keep it running. Which brings me to the question of, even as others are quitting, I don't know whether I saw Chirangai, you were talking about this yesterday, about, I think, William Ruto has 37 days to quit Jubilee, which you have said has had problems, and join UDA. But does that mean, I don't know, Professor, does that mean that he has to step aside also as the deputy president because he's not in the party that got him there? Or it's just going to be, as normal, a country of opportunists? You want your cake, you eat it too, you want everything. Umetoka hapa, unaenda hapa. So is he strong enough as a man and as a leader to say that I am out of Jubilee and I stop being deputy president, I'm going to run to be president even without having the power as it is, following him all around in the motorcades?
I'll allow a response.
I don't know whether Alfred wants to be appointed a deputy president, but unfortunately, the deputy president is elected alongside the president. So the Kenyans elected him to be in office, so I don't think that's an issue. Number two, UDA used to be a former PDR. PDR has one senator and I think a number of MPs. Is a coalition partner of Jubilee. So in all instances and purposes, there is still coalition agreement between the two. So that one does not hold water because it is neither here nor there. The deputy president enjoys that confidence of being elected. And I think that is one credit we should give the current constitution. Because if Deputy President Dr. William Ruto was an appointee of Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta would have fired him long time ago. But thank God it is Kenyans who elect the deputy president to be in office. And I don't know, and it is unfortunate in quick succession to comment on this, that President Uhuru has demeaned the person and stature of the office of the deputy president. Until now, people within government continue to show disrespect and demean the office of the deputy president. We forget as a country that these are institutions that outlive all of us. So if the president who is in office has demeaned, has disrespected, even government officers look down upon the deputy president and office of the deputy president, it shows you that we are a threat to our own institutions that you should leave. I wish when somebody is in office, like the presidency office or even the office of the governor, we respect that office because it's an institution that we created. Yeah. But when you go ahead and demean officers are being harassed, are being undermined simply because of working in the deputy president's office, then it shows you that a threat to the current constitution of Kenya is the president himself.
Okay. I don't know. Let me jump in before the professor comes in because, he's a professor of law. I don't know about your allegations that the office of the deputy president has been demeaned. Because from where I sit, Deputy President William Ruto is a very powerful man with all the trappings of power. I mean, we saw him come to Kambani the other day. He had a motorcade of, I think, 20 DCs and vehicles clearing the way for him, things set up everywhere he goes. He's very highly respected. He's given the mandate as deputy president. He's given the security he deserves. He's given everything that deserves a clearance. You should see the way he's treated. His protocol is equal to that of the president. So I don't understand where maybe ni deals zimefungwa mahali ndio watu wanaona wamekuwa disrespected, but not necessarily because when it comes to him as a person, I have not seen him being disrespected by any public officer. I have not seen him being sidelined. If he comes here, all of us will stand up. We give him the respect he deserves. I respect him as a deputy president. People respect him in this country. Anywhere he goes, he's highly respected in this country. Even in government, if Ruto walks into an office today, everybody will stop working and listen to him. and they'll do what he says.
No, I don't
because
think
so let's not create this martyr feeling. Let's not create this feeling that he's under siege, you know, unataka siege, you know, he's under siege, that ameumizwa, amefinyiwa chini, ameumizwa. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. You know, this is a man who is making big deals. This is a man who is able to travel to Dubai, you know, as the deputy president, who is not received at the entry, but is received at the tarmac, you know, with a car, with a siren, because the deputy president of Kenya. This is a man with the trappings of power. So you cannot start making him look like a victim of circumstances. Yeah. He is in power. So hiyo story yenu ya kumfanya kuwe victim ndio apate sympathy, hiyo achana nayo, hiyo tunajua ukweli.
Let's bring in Prof.
Maybe because he has made wild allegations, because my good lecturer comes in, is that no one is talking about the William Ruto as a person. What we are talking is the institution of office of the deputy president. And some of us who are insiders are very clear that whenever cabinet meetings and even NSAC meetings are being held in State House on the national security briefings, William Ruto has never been invited for the almost 3 years now. And you know, he's the principal assistant. So we are not saying that William Ruto as a person. What we are worried is the office of the deputy president, because these people are behaving that William Ruto will be the deputy president for eternity. Alfred Mutua in future might be the deputy president. Does it mean that since I don't like Alfred Mutua, we should not respect? So I think Governor Alfred Mutua might be new in Jerusalem, or is just assuming things, because everybody knows, even you in the media knows, that the deputy president has. You remember the case where he went to open a police station in Bahati constituency. The county commander and the county commissioner went and defaced and removed his name. So what do you interpret with such? So I think we need to be honest as a country, but just let us, my only concern is let's respect the institutions. When Governor Alfred Mutua leaves office as Machakos governor, anybody else who gets elected to that office, we must respect by the virtue of the institution of the governor that is in place. Okay. Not because Alfred is no longer there.
Okay. Prof, let's start with the issue of the parties. Now he's running under UDA, was elected under Jubilee. The NDC is coming up on the 25th. So what options are there? Constitutionally speaking, what should really happen?
Of course, even as I weigh in, the Cherargei and Governor Mutua are discussing issues of conflict within Jubilee. Those are issues that, and I don't know whether Cherargei, of course, is pointing fingers as who is on the wrong, who is on the right. And that we cannot tell, because I think the partnership between His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and His Excellency Deputy President Ruto going into the election was a partnership of President and Deputy President. Now he's trying to break down what has gone on in there, some of which we do not know. But I think at this point, as you rightly asked, let us deal with the question, what happens, what next within Jubilee? And what next after the NDC of 25th? Let us look at the Political Parties Act. Yeah. Now, the Political Parties Act provides that as of the 26th of March 2022, that's about a month before the disputation, the nomination process, the registrar must have completed or must have compiled lists of individuals belonging to specific parties. Yeah. That means that even Cherargei here will have to make a choice and formally move to UDA, that today he seems to be saying is PDR. If that is the case, then I think that many members of parliament, this is where Governor Mutua's comment comes in, that will membership to a political party mean an express declaration before the speaker that the member has moved, and therefore will the member or will the members be required to exit parliament of the National Assembly or Senate? Yeah. I think those are the questions. Whether members will simply move to UDA or other parties and keep quiet. You can see where the Elections Act, the amendments are contentious. Yeah. Because the registrar then wields that power to publish names. And perhaps this is where the rubber will meet the road, because members will have no choice but to elect political parties. on which they will run or seek a ticket.
Yeah.
And if Parliament is on, you remember the law or the decision of the court is that they have to declare and say formally an over-attack. They must say that I have quit the party, in which case they will have to resign from the House.
Yeah.
Remember now we're having an interesting case of Annie Wanjiku and Gatundu North MP, who happens to be my client, Wanjiku Kibo.
Yeah. Oh.
We argued the appeal, and this is an interpretation of Article 99 on whether a member should resign before seeking a higher office. This applies to MCAs.
Yeah.
The decision in that case will be made by the Court of Appeal on the 18th of March. But you can see now there's confusion. Some MCAs wanted to resign as of yesterday.
Yeah. Yes. The IBC said that they now have waited.
The IBC said they wait. But this is a case we're in, and we're waiting for the outcome from the Court of Appeal because that impacts on every other person in this country.
Yeah.
So Trevor is important. I want to see what Cherargei will do when 26th of March arrives.
Yeah.
And he moves formally to UDA and is in that list. I don't know whether he will resign or he will play what the governor said. He will want to eat his cake and keep it at the same time.
What will you do?
I think that is the challenge. You should tell us what you will do.
Yeah, you're here now. What will you do? So the 26th of March.
The law is very clear. Of course, some of us, our heart and soul is in UDA. In fact, we move outside Jubilee since 2018 when the president decided to go for handshake against. You remember Jubilee, we have never had a parliamentary group meeting or even NDC. Yeah. It's surprising that the Jubilee for the first time in history is calling for NDC to endorse not their own presidential candidate within Jubilee, but outside. But that is beside the point. The law is very clear, as my learned senior and my lecturer said, that as we will move to UDA, of course, seek to be elected through UDA. But of course, looking at the cost, in my own opinion, if many people will be moving around. Even ODM now wants to form a party called Azimio. We have even the only person I'm sure he will not be moving is Governor Alfred Mutua, because he has his own party, the Maendeleo Chap, and other parties that have not. So in as much as the law demands that when you move, you are supposed to go for a by-election, I don't think it is viable for the country. I don't think, because almost 180 of us will be moving en masse from Jubilee. So if you imagine you have to hold a by-election in the country of 180 members of parliament plus and even MCAs, then that would not be viable for the country. So I think, I don't know, there is a lacuna in law in such or in such situations where you are having 6 months or less than 6 months to general election. Most of us have moved to other new political parties to seek election. Then now I think there is a lacuna within law. I think our learned senior and even the court should give direction to, just the way on the decision of Justice Murima, where the MCAs are being told to wait until that matter is being looked at, as he has said in Wanjiku Kibe case. So from where I sit, I don't have a problem. Even if I move to UDA and a by-election is called today, I don't have a problem because it's just a few months away. But the issue again is that we must be in Parliament up to 8th of August to transact business, because nowadays you don't prorogue Parliament or you don't say Parliament. Like Parliament comes to an end when other new members, like my brother who is running for senator in Kisumu County, are elected back are elected either newly or re-elected back to Parliament. Yeah. So, but I said something I think he didn't listen to, is that UDA is a former PDR. PDR used to have a coalition agreement with Jubilee. So I don't think it will be a big deal for us. But if the courts rule that there should be a by-election, it would be very interesting, by the way, because everything is new. If the courts rule that people who have moved to new political parties seek re-election in by-election, then I don't know the cost, the viability, the stability of the nation, and also Governor Alfred Mutua, and there are so many pending issues within government that if today, if 180 members of parliament are plus, and you know also, it is not only UDA, you have seen even people moving from ANC to Azimio, you have seen people moving from maybe ODM to regional and village ethnic parties that is financed by the State House. So, so that we finance, you know, State House nowadays, Trevor has a new job description, financing and creating regional, village and ethnic small parties, unlike a national party of my brother Governor Mutua. So you need, so if you, everybody, by the way, Trevor, if you were to say everybody who has moved to resign, the whole parliament will go home. And I don't think we'll have a lot of money. You can hear even IBC has a shortfall of 4.5 billion. To be able to hold a proper election in 2022 August. So for now, I think in all wisdom, let people move freely, let people go to any party they like, let the country move on, let us finish up the agenda we have as parliament so that Kenyans can have an ample time to elect the leaders of their choice in August.
Governor Mutua, this is ending up being more of a moral question than a legal question. Because even if when they move and they decide that they have relinquished their positions and they want to run and the by-elections are called, do we have time to conduct a by-election in 6 months? And whether they are re-elected or not, is that now a new term, or are they then subjected to another election on the 9th of August?
Realistically, I agree with my good senator here. We don't have time for by-elections. We don't have the money, or the focus should be on the general elections. But you see, you can move away, and that will save the exchequer a lot of money in salaries of people who are not working but politicking. Because if you've already moved away from this party and the law says that you shouldn't hold office, hiyo mshahara yako yote, hiyo gari ya serikali, hiyo bodyguard yote inarudi kwa mwananchi. So the mwananchi benefits than you being there as a big man, as a big woman, enjoying the trappings of power, yet you're not serving the people because you're going contrary to the law. But it is also important to realize that we need to have a government in place all the way to the end. Because what happens now, if there's a state of emergency, and the elections are called off, you still need to have parliament, National Assembly there in place for formation of government, so as to be able to continue. So, as he said, it's something that the Constitution is very silent about. You talked about a lacuna, but it's also where you come up and look at what are the intentions, what is the, use your brains and say what is good for the country. I think what is important is that we need to be a country where people have integrity, where you stick to one place. If you're not happy, you move. I see this happening in the US a lot. I see this happening in the UK, Australia, and other places, whereby if your allegiance is no longer with the party that got into office, you quit and you relinquish all the powers. Lakini sisi, tunaanza Cold War from within, which is what Jubilee has been going through. Cold War ya katikati. And that's why it has imploded. Because you've got people who are not with you in spirit and they're trying to finish you na weko ndani. Instead of having the courage to say, we no longer believe in this, let me relinquish everything, go back to wananchi and get re-elected. Ni tamaa. It's a form of tamaa.
Prof, realistically speaking, what does that mean now? Because, for example, if Gerard Gay quits and there's a by-election and we pull it off within the 6 months, and is re-elected, so is he subjected again to an election on the 9th of August?
The time frame, where you have less than 6 months into a general election, you may not want to go through that process. But there's the moral question, and I think the moral question was the governor is talking about, that would state officers who are serving in elective office, should they not step aside voluntarily, pending, if at all they have no job description, pending a general election? If, for instance, from the 3 months before the 9th of August, it will be clear campaigns. Nobody will be in office. In fact, from the 26th of March, when party lists are complete and we start the process of campaigns for nominations, there'll be no function of public office. So they will not be working. Now, the problem then is that then, of course, that then goes into the dispute period where you have the political parties dispute tribunal, those who have won, those who would have been rigged out or cheated out of the nominations will be fighting to be in the IEBC final list. So there'll be lots of politics. So I think this is an option. This soul searching that elected members will do, whether they move from, as Cherargei says, they move to Azimio from ODM or DAPK, or to UDA from Jubilee, or perhaps, because the vehicle that you use for the election will determine whether you exit your party or not. Okay. But I think that is something. But remember, even in all this, the EACC continues to supervise certain acts, especially the use of government resources in election campaigns. I'm sure that they have units that will monitor if public officers are using government equipment, government vehicles, and other machinery for campaigns. And I think that this is a time when the EACC also gets very, very busy trying to follow individuals. Yeah. So I think there's that. It's a dicey situation, but I agree with Cherargei as well that the term of a member of parliament will subsist until the next election. Yeah. I don't think that these amendments were contemplated. We are in a phase where,
we didn't foresee this.
And again, that lacuna, what happens where you exit a party, but you don't declare in parliament, or you start campaigning against your own party, as in Cherargei campaigning against Jubilee, but he's still a Jubilee member.
Let's talk about legacy now. This is the second part of it. Yes. And we've seen a very public difference between the president and the deputy president, all revolving around the legacy. The president says that he asked the deputy president to work and not campaign so that they cement their legacy, but he was on top of cars. The deputy president says sometimes these theories are done in the office, implemented on top of cars. Cherargei, who is fooling who here, and what picture does that portray to the Kenyan electorate?
I think when you look at Jubilee, and everybody agrees that Jubilee did perform exceptionally well during the first term, that is 2013-2017. And that one can be given to credit that the close working relationship between the president and the deputy president. You remember the government was efficient. There were cabinet meetings. There used to be parliamentary group meetings. The leadership within parliament was doing very well then because it was in sync with the party leader and deputy party leader. So at least most of the implementation programs, including the infrastructure, the electricity connectivity, and many other government agenda, ran efficiently and effectively within the first term. And that's why the deputy president was saying, and he confessed and said that during their first term, they used to plan together. He knows how the Jubilee manifesto look like, the Jubilee scorecard look like. But fast forward in 2018 to now, when the handshake happened, there was a systematic edging out of the deputy president. In fact, these people really wanted to impeach him at some point, wanted to undermine him, de-escalate his security, demean and disrespect in public. And you remember even in the Executive Order number 1, I think of 2018 or is 2019, where the CS Interior was appointed as the government of as government coordinating government activities. Yeah. Those issues of coordinating government affairs was the work of the deputy president. But now, technically, the title remained with the deputy president, but the functionality of that office was taken to the office, to the CS in charge of Interior. So for the second term, the deputy president and the president ensured, it is President Uhuru Kenyatta ensured that the office of the deputy president become dysfunctional. He ensured that William Ruto does not function as the deputy president by removing some of this job description and functionalities.
You don't think there's a problem with this public part? That's what I'm talking about. You don't think
of course, it is the president, you know, and I think President Uhuru Kenyatta and the reading and the text and the letter of the Constitution, the president is a symbol of national unity. We would have expected the president to rise beyond what I can call it local politics. Because if you remember the way President Kibaki did, when his term was coming to an end, he was busy putting his house in order, he was putting his legacy in order. We would have expected President Uhuru Kenyatta as a president who is exiting in 180 days, to now be cementing legacy that we have asked, to be now, and also becoming the father figure of the country by saying all people who are running for presidency, like my brother here, Governor Alfred Mutua, and many others who are running for presidency, he should be wishing them well. I don't think even Governor Alfred Mutua would be comfortable if a sitting president endorses another presidential candidate, because he's creating unfair competition. So when the president now reduces himself to a campaign manager of Raila Odinga, then that is where the country has a problem. But if President Uhuru Kenyatta would concentrate, deliver on his mandate, ensure it adds up on the legacy, ensures that we have free and fair elections, ensure that we have peace and stability and security in the country, I don't think anybody would have a problem. But the moment President Uhuru Kenyatta himself directly attacks his deputy in a public, then is a threat to the national security at some point. So I wish, and I hope it is not too late for President Uhuru Kenyatta to retract, rethink, go back to the drawing board and tell himself, I need to thank God for 10 years that the Kenyan people have given opportunity to serve. Let me wish everybody well who are running for president, but let me ensure that there is credible election, there is peace and security in the country. The president can still retract back and ensure there is a way. By the way, all of us are politicians here. So there are people who are backroom who are supporting us that you must not cover it in front.
Okay. Let me take a quick break, then come back and hear your views on the presidential public spat that's going on right now. And keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV. Can use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in a bit.